this is ContraZoom.
where we go back and forth about film.
I'm Dakota Arsenault.
And I'm Jeff Bulmer.
The Toronto Japanese Film Festival, which features some of the biggest Japanese films to premiere on the international scene, ran from June 11th to June 26th, a festival that ContraZoom has covered for the last 5 years. One of the films that had its North American premiere was Aruku, also known as I Walk. Jeff reviewed the film and also had a chance to interview the director, Shiho Kataoka. The movie follows several participants in a pilgrimage that Japanese Buddhists take on the island of Shikoku, where they visit 88 temples and along the way reflect and deepen their beliefs. Welcome, Jeff. Thank you for coming on. You did another fantastic interview that we're going to get to shortly. But if you are not aware, this is a video episode. So you're going to be able to see Jeff speaking with Shiho. And you can see us right now, too, if you're watching on Spotify or on YouTube. But welcome back, Jeff. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you for giving me a place to do this interview. This is a really cool opportunity that came up. I watched the movie. I really loved the movie. So I looked not very hard. I just looked. I think on Film Freeway, if Shiho-san had any contact information, and then I just shot an email like, "Hey, would you be willing to be interviewed?" And I didn't expect to hear back, and I did. So it was really cool how this came together, and I remember after I didn't even like mention this to you until after I got the email back, like, "Hey, would you be interested in hosting this or in having this on your site in any capacity?" So thank you very much for saying yes.
Of course, of course. No, we love spotlighting independent filmmakers, and as you'll kind of learn through this interview, Shiho is very much an independent filmmaker, doing things her own way, the way she wants to do. And it's always nice when we get these opportunities to highlight films that maybe people might not have on their radars or things like this. And very often, it's also something I need to be cognizant about is these filmmakers will see our work. They'll see our positive reactions in our tweets and our reviews and all this stuff, because like this is like the lifeblood for them getting word of mouth. And so this is something
Mhm.
that's very important. And I'm glad we can highlight such a great little film.
Yeah, and I mean, as Dakota just said, she's very independent. So if you are watching this or listening to this episode and you are in a position where you can help independent filmmakers, uh, Shiho could really use your help, depending on what exactly your position is. You'll hear more about that in the interview. We do talk a little bit more about the details of her process and her current what she's currently working on. So yeah, I hope that I hope people enjoy this interview, and I hope that this interview reaches the right people.
Before we get to it, though, I want to talk briefly about the Toronto Japanese Film Festival. Like I said, we've been covering it for 5 years now. This is one that we've done a few podcasts over the years about. You have a really special connection with this festival. I feel like the types of films that they play, you really gravitate towards too. You did 6 reviews this year covering different films. What about the Toronto Japanese Film Festival keeps bringing you back?
Well, to sort of reuse a description that you that we've now used twice. It's very independent. This is a very small festival, but a successful one. So I say that small endearingly. It always takes place. It takes place at the Japanese Canadian Cultural Center, which is quite a ways out of the way. I live in downtown Toronto. It's not impossible for me to get there. Not even difficult, but it does take a while. It's very out of the way, and they have like a large gymnasium and presentation space that they use for those films. And to me, there's just something very endearing about, to me, I know that the Japanese Canadian Cultural Center has quite a, they have resources available to them. They have these connections that they've built up. But to me, this is, you look at something like TIFF, which is an organization that is built up specifically to show films. You look at something like, I guess the MoMA in New York, any of these organizations you typically think of that show films. Um, this is the Japanese Canadian Cultural Center is not that. So I think that what I really like about this film festival is you can really feel when you go there, you can really feel the work that goes into the community that like came together to put together this film festival, and they have some really great stuff that plays there. They'll always have usually the biggest Japanese film from TIFF of the previous year, and then they'll have at least a few higher profile premieres. Like this year, they had the Canadian premiere of a new Takashi Miike film, um, which potentially TIFF might also have a different Takashi Miike film. He does a lot of movies, but they'll usually have at least one higher profile premiere, and then they'll also have a lot of films that uh, you know we may not even be possible to see over here for a while later. One of my favorite films of I want to say 2 years ago was a movie called Missing, which eventually came onto Canadian Netflix in 2025. But that was about 6 months after it had played at the Toronto Japanese Film Festival, and between there was just no way to see it. So I think this is where I discover a lot of really interesting Japanese films, and where I am for any movies that even pique my interest there. It sometimes it's something like TIFF. It's like, well, it'll be there. It'll be out in October, so I can just wait. But at the Toronto Japanese Film Festival, you never know that. And so this is where I'm like, well, that looks interesting, and that immediately turns into I better schedule my Wednesday around it. So I just really like. I like a lot of stuff about the Toronto Japanese Film Festival, and I recommend it to anyone who's able to go, because it's probably my favorite festival that I've been to.
Yeah, and I think one of the nice things about localized or more niche festivals like TJFF is, even for cinephiles like us, it's hard to get a true grasp of what an industry is like in a different country. Uh, just because of the nature of the way watching cinema works. Like we know about when a new Koreeda movie comes out, or a Raisuke Hamaguchi film, or a Takeshi Miike film, or things like that. But like that's not an overall indication of what current Japanese cinema is. Those are just a couple films from the high profile auteurs. And I think a festival like this, or any other, more regionalized niche or festival, you really get a bigger grasp of like what kind of comedies are they doing? What kind of romance films are they doing? What kind of mystery films are they doing? Animated films, things like that. And I think Toronto Japanese Film Festival does a great job with its programming of giving you a wider slice of life representation of what contemporary Japanese cinema is like.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself. I think when I was there, I saw one movie from a director that I recognized the name of immediately, and that movie was very good, but it wasn't even the best movie I saw there. So that introduced me to so many new cool directors. One of whom has two movies playing at Fantasia. So, you know, immediate connection to another festival that I am covering. So that's fun. I got introduced to a new name that I now when I see him anywhere else, I'll know that name.
Mhm. Yeah, that's definitely the beauty of being able to cover film festivals like this is you start to recognize the same names. Like, oh, this person had a film 2 years ago. Okay, this is their first film in a few years. All right, let's check this out. So it's nice to be able to have that in your back pocket when you go into a festival like TJFF.
Mm.
Before we go to this interview, is there anything else you kind of want to set up about it? You have a lovely conversation with Shiho, talking about the process, about how long it took her to make this film, happy accidents she discovered on the way in terms of figuring out who's going to be in this documentary, all this great stuff. But is there anything you kind of want to highlight going into this?
Um, No, not really. I think I'm gonna mostly let the interview speak for itself. The only thing that I will say is at the time of our recording this intro, um, I don't believe that Aruku has distribution. So, for people who want to watch the movie and then watch the interview, you unfortunately may be waiting a while. So, I'd encourage you to watch the interview first. And if there's any way, if this piques your interest, there are ways to help Shiho. So, we'll get there. Well,
Absolutely. So, without further ado, here is Jeff's conversation with Shiho.
Hello, my name is Jeff from Contra Zoom Pod, and I am here today with Shiho Kataoka, the director of the new film Aruku, which recently premiered at the Camera Japan Festival in the Netherlands and had its Canadian premiere at Toronto Japanese Film Festival, where we were lucky enough to catch it and cover it for the website. Thank you for joining us today, Shiho Kataoka-san.
Thank you so much for having me. Really appreciate it.
So, Aruku, I believe this is your feature debut, correct?
Yes.
And before that, you'd mostly worked in television.
Yes, I still work for television now.
So, I guess my first question, well, there's a few parts to it, but the first part of my question is when you were putting together Aruku, what was it about this story that needed to be a feature versus a television special?
I wanted to make this film because I wanted to be a filmmaker, and then but I moved to New York and then studied filmmaking, and I couldn't find a film job right after. So I tried, but I couldn't, and then I started working at the Japanese production company who produce the TV programs for Japan. And I started making TV documentaries there. But after I was working for about 10 years or so, I still had the passion for film, or I still was thinking that I moved to New York to be a filmmaker, but I haven't made a film. So I wanted to realize my dream. So that was one reason. But also, I've known about the pilgrimage from my grandmother, who was a pilgrim. But when I was kid, I've seen all the pilgrims, but I didn't know why they're walking and why they're wearing white costumes and all that. Then later on, when I reached my 30s and I started thinking about meaning of my life, and it kind of connect why they're walking, and so I first set out for a preliminary trip, scouting trip, and filmed and a little bit, and I met many pilgrims there who most were kind of dissatisfied with their lives. And I was also dissatisfied with my life. So I thought there was there's a connection there. And also, there was a saying that it is said that Kukai, who's the originator of the pilgrimage, walks with you and guides you according to each person's need. And so I wanted to kind of make a documentary, like explore the concept of Kukai's guidance, and then see what happens. So my intention was to make kind of this documentary more spontaneously, and picking up the characters through chance encounters. So that was the kind of challenge, departed from making a TV documentary, which is more we know an outline, and we have an outline, and then we kind of know how the story will
Mm-hmm.
happen, and then what kind of story we'll get. So I kind of wanted to do something different, and so that was the reason why I wanted to make this documentary.
I realize I probably should have started with this just for people who are just tuning into the to the interview, Aruku is a film about the pilgrimage on Shikoku Island in Japan, where pilgrims visit 88 temples, which are associated with the ancient monk Kukai or Kobodaishi, who orig- I don't did he originate Shingon Buddhism, or did he just bring Shingon Buddhism to Japan?
He brought back the esoteric Buddhism from China. So he's not an originator of Shingon. I guess Shingon, maybe originator of Shingon mhm, Buddhism.
You already mentioned that you have, some you were aware of the pilgrimage before, and you had some history with it. Had you ever gone on the pilgrimage before making this movie?
Just for scouting.
Mm.
So I already had a camera and I filmed some parts of the pilgrimage. Yeah, but I never tried like from beginning to the end by myself.
Okay. Another thing you actually already alluded to, I was really wondering how you chose your subjects for this film. And you said it was chance encounters. Um, for those being chance encounters, this is a very, very well put together movie. Can you talk a little bit about how you found those subjects?
Yeah, so I first met one person and then started following without thinking too much. And then after I filmed with this person a little while, well, of course I have to ask the question, basic question,
Mm-hmm.
and then I felt like okay, maybe there's something there. So I started to following a one person, and then that led to the second person, and then third person, fourth person. There are other pilgrims I met, not just those main four characters, but as I was continue filming, and then I felt like those four are kind of like you know um, people who I felt more connect, have some connection
Mm-hmm.
with me.
So when you were following them, did you follow, for example, Hiroe for 3 or 4 temples and then move on to someone else? Were these all concurrent pilgrimages?
Yes. So usually, if you're walking, and usually same you meet same people.
Mm.
If because we were walking in the same pace with the same pace, then so it was easy to capture those people. I mean, if I meet like three people at one temple, then basically when you go to the next temple, you see the same people.
Oh.
um, yeah. So but there was a guy who was you know on bicycle, and it was a little bit difficult to we couldn't catch up with him. So um, I had an assistant who drives a car
Mhm.
and transport our equipment and luggage. So I usually walk a lot, many hours, but then some point I get in a car and then move forward and then wait for a pilgrim or catch up with a
Mhm.
pilgrim. So first of all, so it's a chance encounter. I meet person and all those like different people, but here and there I decide to go back. It's all about my instinct
Right.
to yeah, something like a naturally happened, and then oh okay, so let's follow this person more, or okay, maybe we should go back to see what the other person is doing. So it's a chance encounter, but also I am, of course, I'm making a decision to
Mhm.
who to follow, but try not to kind of make a story.
Right.
Yeah, so that was the idea.
The person on the bike that you just mentioned, there's one scene in the film where he gets on his bike and he just starts riding away, and it's a beautiful shot, but I remember thinking when I saw that, oh no, she's not going to be able to catch up.
Right, right, yeah.
Thankfully, I guess the next scene is you guys following him in a car, so you could catch up, as you already mentioned. But
Yes.
um,
Hmm.
one related question I had to that is just how long was the process of making this film?
Yeah, so my initial filming was 2011, which
Mhm.
is a while ago, a long time ago. And then I tried to get grants. I spent all my money on my shoot,
Mhm.
so I ran out of all my money, and then came back to New York, and I couldn't start editing right away. I had to wait till I buy a computer and also drives because I shot about 250 hours of footage, and I was also new to digital film, digital camera. So it was everything was kind of new to me, and then I was kind of struggling how to proceed
Mhm.
with this editing. So it took me like about 2 years. Like 2 years later, I kind of started editing, but I still like I was applying for grants, but I couldn't get any, and I was working as a TV director still, and so I was editing a little by little between my TV jobs. So it was a very slow process, and then at the same time, I wasn't sure if I had enough footage or like great footage. So I kind of like also I wasn't confident enough to finish right away, and it was a slow process anyway. But then while I was editing, about 2017, I found that one of the pilgrims became monk, and so that's it was. I found that by accident, and then I decided to kind of, oh, I should definitely make a kind of follow up epilogue. So then I plan to, interview those people again, but I couldn't film with all of them. So then I had to go back. Some people I only have a photos, but then a lot of my friends told me that you should have everyone
Mhm.
with video. So I decided to pursue that. But in between, I was also applying to film festivals, and a lot of people got interested. But then when I actually submitted, I couldn't get into any of the festivals back then. And then a pandemic came, and then so everything was kind of delayed. And then finally, I went back to film The Last Person in 2021 or 22, and yeah, so it's like over 10 years for sure. It's like 14 years to complete,
It's
actually.
fascinating to me that the one that you found by accident was that one of the pilgrims became a monk, because while I mean that makes sense with his journey, but one of the other pilgrims published a book and one of the other ones became a filmmaker. Those would be things that to me I would imagine would be much easier to discover by accident than the one person who became a monk. How did you learn about that?
Well, I knew that he was going to the Koyasan
Mm.
temple right after pilgrimage, but I didn't know where exactly which temple he was going, all those details, because he didn't have any like phone or email that I could easily contact this guy. He was basically impossible to get in touch with.
Mm.
But I've been to Koyasan. This is the place where Kobo Daishi created this Shingon
Mm.
sect. And so I've been to Koyasan several times, and then I had some relationship with some of the temples. And I was doing the research on for my sister because she was going to Koyasan, so she asked me about the temple, I think, and then I was just on the internet trying to give her information about this temple. And then while I was kind of like looking through the website, and then I found a picture of him being a monk. So yeah, it's like wow, I couldn't believe that he actually became monk.
Well, you clearly picked the subjects for this film very well. It sounds like you got really lucky. in that when you went back to talk to them, it did seem like for each of the main four subjects of this film, the pilgrimage had a serious impact on the trajectory of their lives afterwards. Obviously, as you just mentioned, one of them, Li Kai, became a monk, but one of the other pilgrims, Shoji, became a filmmaker. Another one who I am blanking on at the moment, was his name Miyama?
Miyama, yeah,
Miyama.
yeah.
He wrote a book about his experience, and well, when Hiroe went back to being a pharmacist, but seemed more happy in it. So
Mm-hmm.
my question there is, from the pilgrims that you know, from the ones in this film, from maybe other ones that you've met, have you found that this pilgrimage does, leave that profound an impact on them going forward?
Yes, I think so. I met all of them, of course, after the pilgrimage, and mm, yeah, Shoji definitely has, very as you can see in the film that he, was really got this like sense of accomplishment, and then courage, and then fellows, your friends, and
Mm,
appreciation for beauty surrounds you. So I think he still has that, and he really loved making film or videos while we were shooting on the pilgrimage as well. But he was kind of mm, giving up because he couldn't make his piece
mm,
for this commercial TV commercial production company where he started working, and then I guess he wanted to make something right away, but he couldn't. Of course, you have to assist, and then so I guess something happened, and he had to he got fired, and after that he still enjoys making film, but or videos, but he wasn't sure if that's good for him. But I guess he also didn't have courage, or to make. I don't know. I'm not sure. He did have a courage, I guess. Uh, he had a strong mind to he wanted to create something and make something, but he didn't know how to put out. I guess he was
mm,
really young back then. And Hiroe also she said that she was very you know kind of hmm, she wasn't enjoying life so much, and also if something happened, then a negative thing happened, then she kind of get fixated, and then couldn't let let it go.
mm.
So but now she said it's kind of easier for her to let go of things. But I'm not them, so maybe
Yeah.
I can't really talk about them, how they really think. But
Well, I won't ask you to peer into their minds too much more, but I did think it was really impressive, um, how candid they both were on camera. So, I mean, shout out to you for being able to get that from them, but also to them for, being so vulnerable on camera. I think it's a really powerful moment in the movie where Shoji talks about, what it was like losing his first job and sitting in front of the computer for 6 weeks, just watching anime and movies until he figured there's got to be more to life than this. I think, I hope that not everyone has had that experience, but I know plenty of people, I think myself included, that have had that experience. And it's kind of nice to see someone be that candid on camera. Hiroe is as well. She gets upset at one part of the movie because you're following her around, and she's like, can you stop, which I think reveals a lot about, or it's sort of, her frustration coming out that she's trying to deal with, but she doesn't know how to deal with it. I think it's you get some very good moments from a lot of your subjects here, which there's not a question attached to that. That's just a comment. But thank you
yeah,
for this film.
yeah, thank you so for like
I did have another question, sort of about, I guess, Shikoku itself. There's one point in the movie where you get a quote from someone who's he's lending out his room, and he says people should only do the pilgrimage once. They shouldn't really do it again because pilgrims aren't contributing to society. And he's being nice to the pilgrims by lending his house and basically giving them whatever they need on their pilgrimage, but he's also has like a little bit of contempt for pilgrims, it kind of seems like. And I'm curious about just the I guess the general response to and perception of pilgrims on Shikoku. Did you experience it as more positive or more negative, or I don't know, I guess a big mix?
usually mostly positive,
Mm,
because there is this custom called osetai, means the locals give food or drink or
mm,
money or even place to stay for pilgrims,
mm,
because there's a custom that they believe there are the pilgrims reincarnation of kukai, so admire them. And so that's the custom of Shikoku area, that locals give things to them and then appreciate what they're doing or cheer them up. So I think in Shikoku mostly positive experience, but I heard from some other people, or like even my friends also thinks that instead of walking, try something different, or if you lost your job and instead of working, try to find a new job. And so like Shoji's mother was saying the same things, like
mm,
when he arrived home, and then she was against to the idea of him doing the pilgrimage, because instead of just walking and find something else, like try to find a new job, you know right
mm.
away. So some people think that, yeah, the walking doesn't solve anything, I guess. But yeah, I do kind of understand. I think it's good to kind of take some time to think, but I do also understand some people, the pilgrimage is just they're walking, so it's nothing to admire them about. I do admire, or I definitely cheer for them, but
Actually, on that note, one of the pilgrims, Miyama, he's done. It sounded like he's probably no longer doing the pilgrimage, but in the very end, you had the enormous number of 105, I think, pilgrimages that he'd done.
more than 108.
105, 108, yeah. It
Yeah.
was more than 100. When you first meet him and he says he's on his 35th, you ask him, how many cycles can you do in one
Mhm.
year? And he says 11 or
Mhm.
12. And I'm like, oh, he probably just means 11 or 12 temples. And then you come back to him a few more years later, and he's done 105 pilgrimages. So I was surprised when you said that you had recorded it in 2011, because I actually did just some small back of the napkin math here and thought it was
Ah,
2012. So I was close, but not quite.
okay.
Um, but
Yeah.
he'd done that pilgrimage so many times. Can you comment on doing the pilgrimage that many times? Is that a normal thing to do? What was he doing with that many pilgrimages?
Actually, there are a lot of people, do pilgrimage, Shikoku pilgrimage
Mm-hmm.
multiple times, and you could see the ofuda that you
Mm-hmm.
saw in this white paper, the pilgrimage, right? So he was 25 times. Oh no, 35. No,
He'd done 35, but he had the paper for
25.
25. I'd imagine the next one
25.
is
Yeah,
probably at
yeah, yeah.
50.
So there is the color of the ofuda changes.
Mm-hmm.
So then 25, from 25 is a silver, and then after 50 was gold, and then 100 is a nishiki. It means like a lot of like different colors in one paper. So there are a lot of people, actually older generation, they walk many times. I met several people who have done 100 times while I was filming as well. So it's very common, I guess.
Had you met anyone younger who had done it several times?
Lee-san done it 3 times after, so another 2 times. So he's done three, and there are other people that I filmed, but it's in film, but he wasn't. He's not the main, but he's also done twice.
Mm.
I guess once you've done it and then you want to do it again, so it's very common that you do, twice
Mhm.
and second or third. Yeah, and then they're quite young. Yeah, but not like I never met anyone like a younger generation who have done it like 50 or 30 times. I mean 50 or 100 times.
I was just thinking back to the same guy who said you should only do it once. What would he think of someone who'd done it 100 times? But it's different if the person who's done it 100 times is already retired. Because Miyama, it sounded
Right.
like he didn't even start until he was retired.
So a lot of people are already retired, and I also filmed with another guy that who lost his wife, and he was working for her, praying for her soul. He was working for like more than 10 times then.
How much did you film with the person you just mentioned? Because I don't think he made it into the film, at least not as a main character.
Yeah, he was really another interesting character, and I really wanted to put him in, but it's just by the time when I was trying to complete, it was already over 2 hours, and it was kind of impossible to have another character. I couldn't see, it didn't fit well. All of the characters are so unique, but he was more also similar to the older Miyama-san, even though the situation is different. So I thought it was kind of like too similar to have them together. It's different, but I guess length of the film was, getting longer and longer, and then I had to,
Right.
yeah.
Just one more big question, which is that the music for this is done by Masahiro Takahashi, who I believe is in Toronto, actually.
Yes.
Yeah, could you talk about how that collaboration came to be?
Yes, so there's another musician whose name is also H. Takahashi.
Mm.
That's the artist's name. I found their music online also by accident. I'm a fan of ambient music.
Mm.
Sorry. Yeah, I love ambient music, and then some of my friends also, makes ambient music, and I guess from my playlist I kind of accidentally found their music. And then first I found H. Takahashi-san's
Mm.
music, and I thought that will fit into this film. So I contacted him, and then I met him in Tokyo, and I learned that he also, composed his music with iPhone, um, and more in a kind of like a documentary way.
Hmm.
That's similar to how I make my documentary. That he goes out and then just hanging out around in the street, and then just seeing people walking or nature, and then that's how he composed the music.
Hmm.
Sometimes that's what he said. So I thought it was kind of, oh, that's why like a lot of the music, a piece of music he made, like tunes he makes, it's very fit into the environment.
Mhm.
So I decided to have his music, and then I wanted to have a little bit emotional music to it. But most of the H. Takahashi-san's music is very, it's a beautiful music, but it's not dramatic,
Mhm.
not too emotional, which I loved. But I saw that some of the scenes I would love to have, a little bit more emotion in it. And then accidentally found Masahiro-san's music, and I listened to this one song called Moon Rabbit, and then I kind of like it touched me, and I started crying listening to the music, and I really wanted to have this music, so I contacted him, and that's how our collaboration started. And he composed one of the song as well. Mostly I used existing songs, but he created one song as well for the film.
Oh well, which one is it?
Is that the one that Lee-san reached the Temple 88? So the last walk to the Temple 88. So that's
That was actually the one I was thinking of.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's called Walk, and he made the song from scratch for this film. So, by the way, yeah, they are also friends as well. They knew each other.
Oh, cool.
Masahiro-san and H. Takahashi-san. So,
All right. So just two more questions. One is, what are you currently working on, if you're able to say?
so I am currently shooting another documentary on Buto dance, which is traditional Japanese avant-garde dance. I don't know if you know, but it's a very slow moving, dance.
I'm not familiar, but
Yeah.
so I'm the perfect demographic for the documentary.
It's really great, but I am focusing on the kind of more spiritual aspect to the dance because I took a class with this instructor in Japan. She's French, but she teaches Buto dance here, and she's a choreographer and dancer and teacher. And when I first took her class, I felt like I had this detox experience. And then she explained that like Buto does that. So it's more like moving meditation in a way. So I'm curious about how Buto has effect on people. So that's my current project that I'm shooting.
All right. Well, I'm already excited. So I hope you'll bring that one to Toronto when it's done.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope so. Yes.
The last thing is just, does Aruku have distribution yet? Where can people see this movie?
Not yet. Unfortunately, not yet. I am still showing in the festivals, and then I'm trying to reach out to a distributor, or I don't know actually how to distribute my film. So I'm I don't have a producer, and I am doing basically everything by myself. So I have to learn how to do that. So hopefully but I am trying to reach out to some of the mini theaters in Japan
Mm-hmm.
and try to have screen my film in some of the theaters, and then after that, I would like to stream my film somewhere or on my website.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's my plan.
All right. Well, if you are listening to this and you are currently near a theater in Japan, watch out. Hopefully, Aruku will be at your theater soon.
Yes.
And otherwise, if you're a distributor listening to this, please help distribute Shiho's film.
Please help me.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much for this interview. It's a wonderful film. I hope that people will get the opportunity to see it as soon as possible because I loved it. So,
Oh, thanks so much.
and
Yeah.
I'm excited for your film on Buto as well.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate this opportunity. So, yeah.
All right, that was a fantastic conversation. I really loved it. You guys touched on so many different points. I love the conversation, the topic that you had about whether or not it's a young person's game to do this pilgrimage or not. I thought that she had a really great answer for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And
that
I
was
also really liked the conversation about how the locals probably feel about all these pilgrims coming and doing this journey who are, I don't want to say putting a strain on their community, but the sort of impact that they have both positive and negatively.
well, and I think that was something at the beginning when I didn't know her exact existing connection to Shikoku Island beforehand. So at the beginning, when she brought up that she had family there, uh, that that was immediately what I wanted to ask. I wanted to know, you just said that aren't putting a burden on them, but is that the perception? So that's what I'm very interested in, and she can give a very nice, unique insight into that. Yeah, and uh, yeah, as uh, anytime I'm doing one of these interviews, you think of questions on the go, and whether or not it was a young person's game was kind of something that it had been an idea that I'd been sort of picking up on during the movie, but then as we were talking about it, I was like, oh, wait a minute, the only person who's done this, dozens of times is retired. So I wonder if there's something there, and I think maybe there is. I think maybe there is something to that.
Yeah. And like, I guess to show a little bit of how uh, interviews are made, at least I feel like the best way to go about doing them is you go into an interview with a handful of questions of points and topics you want to hit, but you can't be adhere to that exclusively. You have to let the conversation kind of flow naturally. And I think that's usually sometimes where the best moments come from is a question you maybe not have thought of before, but in the heat of the moment, someone says one thing and you're like, leading into that, what about this? And so I think I could tell a couple moments where you sort of deviated from what you maybe had prepared into questions that arose during the conversation, and I think it made for some really great moments there.
For any aspiring interviewers out there, you won't be able to read this, but this is my sheet of questions. As you can see, it is full. And in my experience, if I write down this sheet of questions and I know these questions fairly well, I usually get to like 70 to 80% of them just through talking. Like you don't, I write down my points, but I don't even have to go point one, point two, point three. You get there. So, if anyone out there is interested in interviewing but is too nervous for it, I mean, practice makes perfect. But you don't have to put together a sheet of questions and then go 1, 2, 3, 4. You get to them.
Yes, very true. Very true. And that's a great point. I guess the last thing I kind of want to hit, we talked earlier about the festival itself. Are there any reviews that you want to direct people to that they should have a look out for?
Obviously, the review of Aruku.
Mhm.
You should check that out, especially if you enjoyed this interview. Also, I would say that one really cool director that I discovered at this festival that actually currently has two films playing at Fantasia Film Festival is Eiji Uchida. He did a movie called Nightflower, which I reviewed. And there is another movie that came out or that I reviewed at Toronto Japanese Film Festival, which is actually a compilation of a TV show. But it worked really well as that compilation movie. There's a movie called Psy Disaster, and I reviewed that for Contra Zoom. One of my favorites of the festival. I would recommend all three of those, and if you're able to see all three of those movies, I would absolutely recommend you do that. There's some really really good stuff at TJFF every year. But those three in particular are ones that I really liked, and I mean, I didn't get to see everything. So if you are interested or curious, look up what played this year, and then watch for it to come out, because a lot of those, unfortunately, like we said earlier, may not actually be available for a while.
The blessing and the curse of attending a festival, for sure. Yeah. Psy was a review when I was reading that and putting the post together. Really piqued my interest and immediately added that to my watch list. It sounds super interesting. I'm going to link to the reviews for both Psy and Nightflower, and of course Aruku, in the show notes. So make sure everyone checks those out. Jeff, thank you so much for conducting such a great interview and being here today.
Just one more thing. Um, if you are watching this interview before the end of July, the first weekend of August, there are two more movies playing at the Toronto Japanese Film Festival. If you are in Toronto and you're watching this interview on time, you're hearing this on time, check those out. if they pique your interest, again, I'm going to direct you to go see them because you may not have the opportunity again.
Very true. Now, Jeff, if people want to find more of your work or follow you, what's the best place to do that?
So right now, I am writing a bunch of reviews for Contra Zoom Pod, so you can find all sorts of reviews of mine on the website. And otherwise, I have a podcast with my friend Pierre called Classic Movies Live that is on Spotify. We have been talking about all of the big movies this year so far. We have an Odyssey episode that just came out, and we also just kind of stumbled into covering all the Indiana Jones movies. I have the next two queued up, so if you're interested in doing an Indiana Jones rewatch, go start that and then listen to what we had to say about the first four movies.
Mm-hmm. Well, I will make sure to link to all that in the show notes. This has been a That Shelf podcast. Visit thatshelf.com for more great film discourse. Follow the show on Instagram, Blue Sky, and Threads at ContraZoomPod. Did you catch anything at the Toronto Japanese Film Festival? Send an email to ContraZoomPod@gmail.com. Thank you to Eric and Kevin Smale for the theme music and to Stephanie Pryor for the logo design. If you like to listen to podcasts on YouTube, we do post all episodes there as well. And if you really like the show, consider tipping us on coffee. Thanks for checking us out.